Top 10 hidden signs of prediabetes you should check today. Here is a frightening fact. 96 million American adults have prediabetes. 80% do not know it. Why? Because the symptoms are so easy to miss or explain away. That afternoon crash you blame on poor sleep, the tingling in your hands you attribute to aging, these could be your body's first distress signals about blood sugar. In this video, I will walk you through 10 hidden signs that deserve your attention right now, including one unusual symptom that appears when you look in the mirror. 2. The mirror test. Dark patches you cannot ignore. The first warning sign might be right in your mirror. Dark, velvety patches in skin folds can mean your body is struggling with insulin resistance before any blood test shows it. This condition, called acanthosis nigricans, shows up most often on the neck, armpits, and knuckles, places where skin rubs together. Nearly 3/4 of people with prediabetes develop these telltale marks, often years before other symptoms appear. Most people assume these patches are just dirt or normal skin discoloration from aging. Scrubbing will not make them go away. The darker areas feel thicker than surrounding skin, sometimes slightly raised, with a texture like velvet. They form because excess insulin in your bloodstream triggers skin cells to grow faster than normal. The more insulin resistant you become, the more pronounced these patches get. Check areas where your body creases. That, up your neck, underarms, groin, and even knuckles. For people with darker skin tones, these spots appear browner or grayish, rather than black. The changes happen gradually, making them easy to overlook until they become obvious. Some notice the patches appear or worsen after weight gain, a key sign your metabolism is shifting in ways that could lead to diabetes. Research shows 74% of prediabetic patients have this skin marker. It is most common in people with higher BMIs, but can appear in anyone developing insulin resistance. Kids can get these patches too. Pediatricians often spot them during routine exams when parents mistake them for stubborn dirt. Unlike normal skin discoloration, these patches will not fade with exfoliation or moisturizers alone. The good news: when caught early, skin changes can reverse. Improving insulin sensitivity through diet and exercise often lightens the patches within months. Doctors consider this a visual warning sign, your body's way of showing what blood tests might not yet confirm. While harmless on their own, they indicate your cells are not responding properly to insulin. Pay attention to new or darkening skin patches, especially if they are symmetrical on both sides of your body. People often dismiss them until they develop other symptoms like thirst or fatigue. But by that point, blood sugar levels may have been rising for years. A dermatologist can diagnose acanthosis nigricans with a simple visual exam. No biopsy needed. These skin changes serve as an early alert system. Unlike internal symptoms you cannot see, they provide visible evidence of metabolic changes underway. Tracking whether patches spread or darken can help gauge how your body handles insulin over time. While not everyone with prediabetes gets them, their appearance means it is time to check your fasting glucose and HbA1c levels. Nighttime plumbing problems. Waking up multiple times at night to urinate is not just annoying. It is often an early signal of prediabetes. When your blood sugar runs high, your kidneys work overtime to filter out the excess glucose. This forces your body to pull fluids from tissues to dilute the sugar, resulting in more urine production. Most people chalk it up to normal aging or drinking too much water before bed without realizing their nighttime trips reveal a metabolic imbalance already underway. Studies show people who wake to urinate 3 or more times nightly face an 89% higher risk of prediabetes compared to those sleeping through. The frequency increases gradually, first once a night, then twice, until waking 4 or 5 times becomes routine. Unlike waking once due to a full bladder before bed, this pattern involves urgently needing to go again hours earlier than morning. Your body is not just eliminating nighttime fluids, it is responding to persistently high glucose levels that spill into urine. The mechanics behind this involve osmotic diuresis, process where excess glucose draws water into urine. Healthy kidneys reabsorb nearly all glucose, but when blood sugar exceeds 180 milligrams dl, the kidneys cannot reclaim it fast enough. Each glucose molecule pulls water molecules with it, increasing urine output. This creates deceptive thirst too. you drink more to compensate, worsening the cycle. People often mistake these symptoms for unrelated issues like prostate enlargement or overhydration when in reality, their glucose metabolism is slipping. Tracking nighttime bathroom visits helps distinguish normal urination from prediabetes patterns. Keep a journal for 3 nights. Note how many times you wake up, whether the urge feels urgent, and approximate urine volume. Compare this to daytime habits. Drinking large amounts before bed affects frequency, but prediabetes causes consistent wicking regardless of evening fluid intake. Older adults often dismiss it as part of aging, yet research confirms these patterns correlate strongly with rising HbA1c levels months before diagnosis. Men might assume prostate issues cause frequent urination, while women may blame weak pelvic muscles. But when flow feels urgent and produces large volumes, not just small dribbles, Plart points more directly to excess glucose. Children developing prediabetes also show this symptom, sometimes leading to bedwetting relapses after being dry for years. Unlike infections that cause burning or pain, prediabetic urination feels entirely normal except for the increased frequency. The timeline matters too. Prediabetes usually causes nighttime urination months or years before other classic symptoms like thirst or fatigue appear. That is why logging patterns helps. 3 consecutive nights of multiple bathroom trips warrant a fasting glucose check, even if you feel fine otherwise. People who catch this early can often reverse it with dietary changes before permanent damage occurs. The kidneys react to blood sugar spikes before you perceive any other warning signs, making nighttime urination one of the first measurable red flags. Laboratory tests might still show normal results initially since prediabetes develops gradually. But if nighttime urination persists alongside skin changes from our last section, combined signals strongly suggest insulin resistance. Cutting evening carbs, shifting larger meals to earlier in the day, and monitoring hydration timing can all help reduce symptoms quickly. What feels like an inconvenient sleep disruption could be your body urging you to address blood sugar issues before they escalate. 4. Energy crashes that are not normal. That 3 p.m. crash, where you can barely keep your eyes open, is not just normal tiredness, it is your cells starving for energy, despite plenty of glucose in your blood. This happens because insulin resistance prevents glucose from entering cells properly. They are literally surrounded by fuel they cannot use, while your brain and muscles struggle through the afternoon on empty. People often blame lack of sleep or stress, when this fatigue persists even after resting adequately. Research shows 68% of prediabetics have mitochondrial dysfunction. Their cells' energy factories struggle to convert nutrients efficiently. The fatigue feels different from regular tiredness. It hits hardest 1-3 hours after meals, especially carb-heavy ones, and comes with noticeable brain fog. You might feel physically drained but also mentally slow, forgetting words or losing your train of thought mid-sentence. Unlike normal post-lunch drowsiness that passes quickly, prediabetic crashes last hours and do not improve with caffeine. The mechanism behind this involves glucose and insulin mismanagement. After eating, blood sugar spikes, but cannot enter cells properly. Insulin resistance forces the pancreas to pump out extra insulin, causing reactive hypoglycemia, a crash when blood sugar drops too fast. Your liver tries to compensate by releasing stored glucose, creating unstable energy swings throughout the day. Standard blood tests might still show normal fasting glucose during early stages, missing these post-meal fluctuations. Meal timing and composition dramatically affect these crashes. Large lunches heavy in simple carbs worsen symptoms, while balanced meals with protein, fiber, and healthy fats create steadier energy. Many people unknowingly make it worse by reaching for quick sugary snacks when energy drops, perpetuating the cycle. The fatigue is not from lack of calories, but misfiring cellular communication. Your body keeps demanding more fuel while surrounded by unused energy. Tracking energy patterns helps distinguish normal tiredness from metabolic red flags. Note exact times crashes occur, what you ate beforehand, and how long symptoms last. Prediabetic fatigue follows predictable post-meal cycles, while stress-related tiredness varies more randomly. Physical exhaustion combined with mental fuzziness that clears when fasting or exercising lightly suggests glucose metabolism issues rather than simple sleep deprivation. Children and teens developing prediabetes show these crashes too, often dismissed as growing pains or staying up too late. They might struggle to focus in afternoon classes or need naps despite adequate sleep. In adults, coworkers may notice you hit a wall at the same time daily when others remain energetic. These observable patterns provide clues missed in sporadic blood tests. The fatigue often appears alongside other symptoms we have covered like nighttime urination and skin changes. Together they paint a clearer picture than isolated complaints. Improving insulin sensitivity through dietary changes and activity can stabilize energy levels within weeks. Many notice afternoon fob lifting first, then more sustained stamina throughout the day. Unlike chronic fatigue syndromes, prediabetic energy crashes respond quickly to proper metabolic interventions. Testing postprandial, after meal, glucose levels captures while fasting tests miss. Check readings 1 and 2 hours after problematic meals alongside symptom logs. Clinical studies show post-meal spikes above 140 mg DL indicate early glucose intolerance even with normal fasting numbers. This explains why some feel terrible despite normal lab results. Their cells are drowning in glucose they cannot properly absorb. 5. Hunger. That will not quit. That gnawing hunger you feel an hour after eating is not normal appetite. Here's your cells screaming for energy they cannot access. When you are developing prediabetes, your bloodstream has plenty of glucose, but insulin resistance prevents it from entering cells efficiently. This creates a paradox where your body demands more food while swimming in unused fuel. People often misinterpret these signals as simply needing a snack, reaching for quick carbs that only worsen the problem. Studies show 82% of insulin-resistant individuals have abnormally high levels of ghrelin, a hormone that stimulates hunger. Their leptin signals, which tell your brain you are full, become weaker at the same time. This hormonal imbalance means you can clean your plate and still feel like you did not eat. Unlike emotional eating where cravings are specific, prediabetic hunger feels more urgent and non-selective. GKT will take anything edible when it hits. The mechanics behind this involve cellular starvation. Muscle and fat cells need insulin to open their glucose channels. When they resist insulin's signals, glucose gets trapped in the bloodstream instead of fueling muscles and organs. Your brain interprets this as famine conditions, triggering primal hunger responses and make you seek calories. After carb-heavy meals, blood sugar spikes then crashes rapidly, intensifying hunger pangs. Many mistake this for needing dessert when their body actually needs stable nutrition. This hunger follows distinct patterns. It typically strikes 60-90 minutes after meals rather than gradually building. Physical symptoms include stomach growling that will not stop, lightheadedness, and difficulty concentrating until you eat again. Some describe it like their stomach is a bottomless pit that could keep eating past comfortable fullness. It often accompanies the energy crashes we discussed earlier, forming an exhausting cycle of eating and crashing throughout the day. Lab tests might miss these patterns since standard glucose measurements do not track post-meal responses. Food logs help identify the issue. Note exactly when hunger hits relative to meals, what you ate, and how intense the sensation feels. Prediabetic hunger differs from routine cravings in its intensity and timing. True hunger builds slowly before meals, while insulin resistance triggers abrupt, overwhelming urges after eating. The solution lies in meal composition, not quantity. Protein-rich foods and high-fiber vegetables help stabilize these signals by slowing glucose absorption. Combining nuts with fruit or eggs with whole grain toast creates steadier energy release. Many find small amounts of healthy fats, like avocado or olive oil, with each meal dramatically reduce post-meal hunger. Artificial sweeteners can worsen the problem by tricking your body into expecting glucose that never arrives. Children with developing insulin resistance often exhibit constant hunger too. Parents may assume their kids are going through growth spurts when they are actually showing early metabolic changes. Teens frequently raid pantries after school, not because they are being greedy, but because their cells are not properly accessing lunch's energy. Tracking 3 days of detailed hunger patterns often reveals the problem. Note what you ate, hunger level before meals, 1-10 scale, and exactly when hunger returns. If you are consistently rating hunger at 8-10 within 2 hours of balanced meals, it is worth checking fasting insulin levels along with standard glucose tests. Unlike typical appetite that ebbs and flows, prediabetic hunger follows predictable post-meal spikes that food choices directly influence. This symptom frequently appears alongside others we have covered: nighttime urination, energy crashes, and skin changes. Together, they paint a clear picture of metabolic dysfunction before lab tests show full-blown prediabetes. When addressed early through dietary adjustments, hunger signals often normalize within weeks as insulin sensitivity improves. What feels like a bottomless appetite is actually your body's distress call about its inability to use available energy properly. 6. The weight loss paradox. That sudden weight loss you have been celebrating might actually be a red flag. When pounds drop without diet or exercise changes, it is not luck. Shares your body struggling to use glucose properly. Insulin resistance forces your system to burn muscle and fat for energy since it cannot access blood sugar efficiently. Many people overlook this warning sign, thrilled about fitting into smaller clothes without realizing their metabolism is sounding an alarm. Muscle loss happens first in prediabetes. Without enough insulin functioning correctly, your body breaks down muscle tissue to create energy through a process called gluconeogenesis. You might notice strength declining. Carrying groceries feels harder even as the numbers on the scale drop. Unlike intentional weight loss, where fat reduces first, prediabetic weight loss often shows a disproportionate decrease in lean mass. Your clothes fit differently because muscle composition changes before visible fat loss occurs. Your kidneys contribute to this unexplained weight loss too. They work overtime filtering excess glucose from your blood, pulling water with it through frequent urination. This fluid loss can account for several sudden pounds, especially if you have noticed increased thirst alongside weight changes. People often mistake this for successful water weight reduction, when it is actually dehydration from glucose overload. The combination of muscle breakdown and fluid loss creates rapid weight fluctuations that do not reflect healthy fat reduction. Research shows losing just 5% of body weight unintentionally predicts diabetes within 3 years. That is only 8 pounds for a 160-pound person, an amount many would not consider alarming. What makes this dangerous is the metabolic context. Your body cannibalizes itself while blood sugar rises. Most expect diabetes to cause weight gain, but early stages often show the opposite. The American Diabetes Association lists unexplained weight loss as a primary symptom needing immediate checks. This weight loss paradox often occurs alongside increased hunger, symptom we covered earlier. Your body desperately seeks fuel it cannot properly use, breaking down muscle while craving more food. People describe eating more than usual while still dropping pounds, confused by the contradiction. Children show this pattern too, with parents celebrating a picky eater thinning out without realizing it might indicate metabolic changes. Track any unexplained weight changes carefully. Note if they coincide with other symptoms like frequent urination or unusual hunger patterns. Prediabetic weight loss differs from gradual age-related changes by happening faster and without lifestyle modifications. People often assume cancer or thyroid issues first, but glucose metabolism problems are far more common culprits for moderate, unexplained weight reduction. Muscle loss shows up in subtle ways before the scale moves. You might tire faster during workouts, notice looser rings from reduced muscle bulk in hands, or see veins becoming more prominent as lean tissue diminishes. These changes appear weeks before noticeable weight shifts. Seniors especially might dismiss it as normal aging when it actually signals developing insulin resistance. Testing is crucial when this pattern emerges. Standard BMI calculations can miss the problem since they do not distinguish between muscle and fat loss. Doctors should check fasting glucose, HbA1c, and insulin levels when patients report unexplained weight reduction. Catching this early allows interventions to rebuild healthy muscle while stabilizing blood sugar before permanent damage occurs. Those celebratory, smaller genes might be hiding a metabolic crisis. Pain that needs attention now rather than applause. 7. Slow healing that raises red flags. That paper cut that is lingered for weeks is not just bad luck. Type is a warning light for your circulation. High blood sugar thickens your blood like syrup, slowing the delivery of oxygen and nutrients that wounds need to heal. What should take days to scab over stretches into weeks, with minor scrapes staying angry and inflamed. People often blame aging or assume they picked up an infection, missing the connection to their metabolism. The problem starts in your smallest blood vessels. Chronically elevated glucose damages capillary walls, narrowing these crucial supply lines to injured tissue. Without proper blood flow, white blood cells cannot reach the wound efficiently, and collagen production, your body's natural repair material, slows dramatically. Research shows healing delays appear an average of 6 years before diabetes diagnoses, making them one of the earliest physical manifestations of metabolic trouble. Minor injuries tell the story clearly. A cat scratch that previously healed in 3 days now takes 2 weeks. A nick from shaving stays red and tender longer than expected. Even hangnails become stubborn irritations instead of disappearing overnight. These delays stem from more than just slower skin regeneration. Your immune system struggles too. High glucose impairs neutrophils, the first responder cells that prevent wound infections. The damage compounds over time. Advanced glycation end products. AGEs form when excess sugar binds to proteins in your blood vessels. These sticky molecules stiffen vessel walls like rusted plumbing, further restricting circulation. Early prediabetes may only cause subtle slowing, but unmanaged metabolic changes progressively worsen healing capacity. People often do not connect occasional slow healing cuts to broader health issues until they face a serious wound that refuses to close. Tracking healing times helps spot problems early. Note how long it takes for common injuries to fully resolve: paper cuts, minor burns from cooking, or scratches from gardening. If healing consistently takes 50–100% longer than it did a few years ago, your circulatory system might be sounding an alarm. The delays appear across wound types, from surgical incisions to accidental scrapes, but start with small injuries you would normally ignore. Foot wounds provide particularly telling clues. Reduced circulation to extremities means small blisters or cuts on toes take noticeably longer to heal than similar injuries on arms. Many discover their prediabetes only after a podiatrist questions why a minor foot scrape has not improved in weeks. Skin on the lower legs may also appear shinier or thinner as reduced blood flow affects tissue quality. The bacterial risk compounds the problem. High blood sugar creates an ideal environment for infections by feeding harmful microbes. What begins as a tiny cut can spiral into cellulitis as staph or strep bacteria multiply in glucose-rich tissue. Prediabetics experience wound infections 3 times more often than those with normal glucose control, turning minor healing delays into serious complications. Compare healing rates to other symptoms like increased thirst or fatigue. Combined with skin changes or frequent urination, slow recovery from minor injuries builds a compelling case for glucose testing. Simple blood tests can detect prediabetes even when fasting levels appear normal by assessing HbA1c or post-meal glucose spikes. Addressing metabolic issues early often restores normal healing times before permanent vascular damage occurs. Take note of how your body handles minor trauma. CS is giving you measurable data about your circulatory health. What you dismiss as just not healing like I used to might be your vascular system's way of reporting glucose-related stress. Unlike internal symptoms you cannot see, wounds provide visible evidence of how well your blood delivers repairs where they are needed. Tingling extremities. Nerves sounding alarms. That tingling in your hands or feet feels like pins and needles for a reason. Tatters your nerves sending distress signals. When blood sugar runs high, even at prediabetes levels, it damages the smallest nerve fibers first. These sensations often start in the toes and fingers, creeping inward over time. Many dismiss it as poor circulation or sleeping on a limb wrong, missing the connection to their metabolic health. Research shows 41% of prediabetics already have measurable nerve conduction abnormalities before they notice any symptoms. The tingling follows a distinct pattern. It usually begins symmetrically, affecting both feet equally rather than one side. Some describe it as a buzzing sensation under the skin, like tiny electric currents. Others feel phantom wetness, as if water droplets trickle down their legs. These sensations arise because elevated glucose disrupts nerve signals, causing misfires that the brain interprets incorrectly. The nerves are not just malfunctioning, they are actively deteriorating. Studies confirm high blood sugar breaks down the protective myelin sheath around nerve fibers, similar to how insulation frays on old electrical wiring. Small fiber neuropathy explains many symptoms. These delicate nerves detect temperature and pain, so damage alters how you experience sensations. Feet might feel strangely cold while actually warm to the touch. A light bedsheet could feel unbearably heavy at night. Some report sharp, stabbing pains that come and go unpredictably. What makes this dangerous is how it progresses, initially causing uncomfortable sensations before progressing to numbness where you cannot feel injuries. The timeline matters. Changes develop gradually over months or years, making them easy to overlook. Early on, symptoms come and go, appearing only after long walks or hot showers. As nerve damage progresses, the tingling becomes constant. Many people only seek help once they struggle to feel temperatures or develop foot sores that will not heal, signs of advanced neuropathy. By that stage, preventing further damage becomes a goal rather than full reversal. Testing helps catch nerve issues early. Simple office exams like monofilament testing, where a doctor touches your foot with a bristle, can reveal sensory loss years before you would notice it yourself. Nerve conduction studies show slowing even in prediabetes, demonstrating how elevated glucose affects function before causing structural damage. Unlike orthopedic issues that cause localized pain, metabolic nerve changes follow predictable neurological patterns affecting multiple areas symmetrically. Some early nerve changes remain reversible. Tight glucose control helps damaged nerves heal, especially when caught in the prediabetes stage. The body can repair myelin sheaths and regrow small fibers if given the right conditions. Symptoms often improve within months of better blood sugar management. Tingling fades first, followed by better temperature perception. Certain B vitamins like methylcobalamin, B12, also support nerve repair when deficiencies exist. Foot care becomes critical once symptoms appear. Check foot daily for unnoticed cuts or blisters, since reduced sensation increases infection risks. Wear shoes indoors to prevent injuries you might not feel. Avoid extreme temperatures. Nerve damage makes it hard to judge water heat in showers or pavement warmth in summer. Compression socks can help with circulation issues that often accompany nerve damage. These symptoms frequently combine with others we have covered: nighttime urination, energy crashes, and slow healing. Together, they form a clear picture of glucose-related nerve stress before standard tests show diabetes. Tingling that comes and goes might seem harmless, but it is among the earliest signs your nerves are struggling with elevated blood sugar. Addressing it early can prevent progression to permanent numbness or disabling nerve pain down the road. Untreated, about 25% of prediabetics with neuropathy symptoms develop full diabetes within 3 years, making nerve sensations a critical warning to heed. 9. Vision that comes and goes. That blurry vision that comes and goes is not just eye strain. It fears your eyes reacting directly to blood sugar swings. High glucose levels pull fluid from the lens of your eye, changing its shape and focus ability. Many people assume they need new glasses or blame too much screen time when their vision fluctuates throughout the day. But these temporary changes actually serve as a visible meter for what is happening in your bloodstream. The mechanics are straightforward. Your eye's lens relies on a precise shape to focus light properly. When blood sugar rises, glucose draws water into the lens like a sponge, swelling it just enough to distort vision. As sugar levels normalize, the lens returns to its original shape, often within hours. This explains why some mornings start with blurry sight that clears by noon, or why vision worsens after large meals. Research shows these lens changes can predict diabetes onset 4-7 years before other symptoms appear. The pattern matters more than the blurriness itself. Vision that fluctuates noticeably throughout the day, better at some times than others, suggests glucose-related changes rather than standard vision decline. Some describe it like a camera lens struggling to autofocus, with words on screens or pages fading in and out of clarity. Dry eyes often accompany these symptoms since high blood sugar affects tear production too. Unlike progressive nearsightedness that worsens steadily over months, prediabetic vision changes happen in noticeable daily cycles. Testing helps confirm the connection. Check your vision at different times, first thing in the morning before eating, then again 2 hours after meals. If clarity changes significantly between these checks, it likely reflects blood sugar fluctuations. An optometrist can detect subtle lens changes during a dilated eye exam before you notice vision problems. The eye's ability to focus during these exams often reveals early metabolic stress that has not shown up on blood tests yet. Children exhibit these symptoms too. Parents might assume their child needs glasses when complaints about blurry vision come and go. Teachers sometimes notice students squinting more after lunch than in morning classes. Unlike normal vision changes that progress steadily, these fluctuations align closely with eating patterns and activity levels throughout the day. Monitoring provides valuable clues. Keep a vision log for 3 days, noting times when clarity changes and what you ate beforehand. Temporary blurriness that improves with fasting or light exercise suggests glucose-related causes rather than permanent eye damage. Some find their vision worsens specifically after high-carb meals but stays stable with balanced nutrition, telling sign of developing insulin resistance. Addressing the root cause often reverses symptoms quickly. Stabilizing blood sugar through dietary changes can normalize lens shape within weeks. Many report vision improvements before seeing changes on glucose tests. Their eyes respond to metabolic shifts faster than laboratory measures detect them. Unlike traditional eye conditions requiring glasses or surgery, these fluctuations improve when the underlying glucose imbalance gets addressed. Prediabetic vision changes frequently appear alongside other symptoms like increased thirst, fatigue, and frequent urination. Together they form a clearer picture than isolated complaints. What seems like a minor annoyance could be your eyes signaling metabolic changes years before they show up in routine blood work. Those temporary blurry episodes are not just inconvenient, they are providing real-time feedback about how your body handles glucose throughout the day. 10. Infections that keep coming back. Those recurring infections you keep blaming on bad luck might actually be your immune system drowning in sugar. When blood glucose runs high even in the prediabetes range, creates syrup-like conditions that cripple white blood cells. These frontline defenders move sluggishly through thick blood, struggling to reach and eliminate threats. Research shows prediabetics experience 3 times more infections annually than those with normal blood sugar, turning minor cuts and irritations into persistent problems. Yeast infections provide some of the clearest warning signs. Candida fungus thrives in sugar-rich environments, explaining why prediabetic women often battle recurrent vaginal yeast infections, and men develop persistent jock itch. Unlike occasional infections that clear with treatment, these keep returning because the underlying sugary environment remains unchanged. Skin infections follow similar patterns. Small cuts that normally heal quickly instead become red, swollen, and stubborn. Staphylococcus bacteria multiply rapidly in glucose-laden tissue, turning minor scratches into infected wounds that linger for weeks. Urinary tract infections become more frequent too. High glucose creates ideal conditions for E. coli bacteria to multiply in the bladder. Many women assume UTIs stem from poor hygiene when their urine's elevated sugar content actually fosters bacterial growth. The infections often return shortly after antibiotics because the metabolic environment that caused them remains unaddressed. Even respiratory infections increase. Colds last longer, sinus infections become chronic, and minor illnesses knock you out 4 days instead of hours. The immune suppression happens at the cellular level. Neutrophils, white blood cells that engulf bacteria, move 50% slower in high glucose environments. They arrive late to infection sites, allowing invaders to establish strongholds. Antibodies also become less effective because sugar molecules attach to their protein structures, distorting their ability to recognize threats. This explains why prediabetics often need stronger or longer antibiotic courses to achieve the same results others get with standard treatment. Tracking infection patterns reveals clearer clues than isolated illnesses. Note how often you have needed antibiotics in the past year compared to previous years. Pay attention to infections that keep recurring in the same areas, chronic ear issues, persistent sinus problems, or skin infections that flare in identical spots. The location matters less than the frequency and stubbornness of the infections. Children developing prediabetes may show increased ear infections or strep throat cases that resist standard treatments. The infection-blood sugar relationship forms a dangerous cycle. Each infection causes inflammation that further elevates glucose levels, which then worsens immune function. A simple cold can spike blood sugar for days, creating conditions for secondary infections to take hold. Many only discovered that prediabetes after repeated antibiotic courses fail to prevent recurring infections. Simple hygiene habits become more crucial with prediabetes. Wash minor cuts immediately with antiseptic instead of just water. Treat fungal infections early and completely. Do not stop medication when symptoms fade. Stay hydrated to flush bacteria from urinary tracts. These measures help compensate for immune system shortcomings while working to improve underlying glucose control. Lab tests often miss this connection because standard glucose measurements do not assess immune function. If you have had 3 or more significant infections in a year, whether bacterial, fungal, or viral, request an HbA1c test along with standard blood work. Improving glycemic control frequently reduces infection rates within months as white blood cells regain normal function. What seems like a streak of bad luck with illnesses could actually be your body signaling glucose problems through its inability to fight off invaders effectively. 11. Conclusion. Your body sends warning signs long before blood tests show problems. Those dark skin patches, constant hunger pangs, and slow healing cuts are not random. They are your metabolism asking for help. The good news, catching these clues early gives you power to change the outcome. Simple lifestyle adjustments can often reverse prediabetes before it progresses. Take the 500S prediabetes risk test today. Link in description. It takes 2 minutes and could reveal whether you need further testing. Pay attention to what your body is telling you through these subtle changes. Addressing them now might prevent more serious health issues later. Your future self will thank you.